Welcome to Dead Principles, a chronicle of decay. I don't usually like Marc Maron. I don't listen to his podcast, although I think it's over now. But I didn't listen to it very much when it was on. A few very early days, because there were a couple comedians I was interested in hearing from. But after that, no. Mark did not have anything for me until last week when he went on Pod Save America and said some very thoughtful and insightful things about society and politics and people that I was very interested in. And I found myself agreeing with him very strongly. And although I do agree that Joe Rogan is a hack, as is the Kill Tony guy, and really most of the people circling Joe, and I do think they caused damage to this country through the messages that they pushed out and also the messages that they censored. But the thing that Mark said that I found the most compelling was his observation about our society's loss of empathy. And I know I'm not the only person thinking about this because I've seen other videos about it this past week. Other people are also noticing that this country has lost its empathy. There's many ways to prove this, but I think probably the most compelling is to point out the fact that we are currently watching. I don't know exactly how many children are left in Gaza, but I know that every one of them is starving to death right now. I know that all of our leaders are aware of it, and I know that none of them are doing anything meaningful to stop it. And I just don't understand how. How can the death of children, avoidable death, these kids aren't starving because there's no food available. They're starving because the Israeli government refuses to allow the food to get to them. The Israeli government that only survives because the US government props them up. Why? Why is the United States supporting a genocide? How can this be what America represents? What has happened to us? When did we lose our compassion? When did we stop caring about anyone other than ourselves? I think that at least in part it has to do with the fact that our society is being run by a bunch of narcissistic psychopaths. And we know this already. They have done studies and found that the majority of successful CEOs are also psychopaths because capitalism is psychotic. It doesn't account for humanity at all. That's not its job. So it doesn't think about it. And when every decision that we make is dictated by money, then money becomes the only priority. And it is far less expensive to let people die than it is to keep them alive. But if we're saving all this money, letting all these people die, what is that money going towards? It's not going towards the American people. The only people that are getting tax breaks in this country are the richest people in this country. So the same people that probably profit the most from both war and the carnage of war are also the people that are going to receive whatever savings there is from not helping people, because clearly the US is not about helping people. It's about helping itself. Donald Trump has made it very clear that everything that, at least under this administration, everything that's done is done for the benefit of the US, and everybody else should be working for us somehow, I guess. I guess what I find almost maybe even more repugnant than the fact that there is such a lack of empathy in society is the fact that when someone does show some empathy, they get eviscerated for it online by a bunch of people who absolutely cry for help when they're in need, but don't want to show that kind of support to anyone other than themselves. It is this completely selfish, self-centered, narcissistic outlook on the world. And we have that outlook because narcissists are in charge. We have to get these people out of positions of authority because they don't care about anything but money, and they're happy to let the world burn around them as long as, they're hitting their profit marks and they're getting their bonuses. They don't care because their attitude is there's some part of the world that's still nice and I can afford to get there. So I don't care about the rest of the world and I don't care about the people in the rest of the world. So then there's just all of us poor people who can't afford to get away, to escape to whatever island compound someone has built. We're stuck here. We're stuck in the place that all these same people are trying to loot and burn. We need to bring empathy back to leadership because our leaders have to care about us, or else they won't do anything to help us or protect us. They will just grift us like everyone else is doing. Empathy is something each and every one of us is born with. But like any muscle, it has to be worked. You have to exercise your empathy or it will shrivel up and die. And it will be a very sad day for all of us because the world is getting worse in every way that is measurable right now. The economy is crashing. There are no new jobs. There is no growth in the economy except for AI, which is going to eliminate all of our jobs. So there's no hope. There's no hope in anything that's happening right now other than for the world to be filled with more empathetic people. Because if rich people had empathy, there would be no suffering because they'd say, well, I've had so much more money than I need or could ever use. So I'm just going to take this money and distribute it around to other people to help them out. Billionaires don't do that. They talk about charities and things, but I don't know who's ever helped by any of these charities. As far as I can tell, the only people helped by these charities are the people working at those charities because they get really good salaries for doing basically nothing. So charity is not the solution. I want to see billionaires walking around handing their money out to individuals. Then I'll know that they understand the problem and they really want to help. Until billionaires show that kind of compassion, I don't believe that they care one bit about any of us. So we need to bring empathy back. We need to insist on it. Any cold-blooded, calculating, cruel person should not be rewarded. They should be called out for the degenerates that they are, and they should be rejected from our society. Because the longer we let them in, the more they will poison with their selfish, self-centered, corrupt, greedy mindset. And that will be the doom of all of us. If they're allowed to continue with what they're doing, it will be the doom of all of us.